Welcome, welcome to today's stream. Hope you had a nice day so far. Let's have some fun in Guild Wars together. As always, if you have any questions, any comments, please let me know. Let's see what we can do today. Welcome, welcome. There we go. Let's check if we can get some players for our typical Iceblood Saga run. And I have some crazy ideas for elite specs. And if we will debate that here on stream today, because let's be honest, do you expect the next expansion to have elite specs? I don't know. We will see. But if we get some, what could it be? That's the interesting part, because they actually have quite a lot of elite specs or niches covered already. So do you expect some crazy elite specs that we didn't predict at all? Or do you expect just some things that are just left open, like, for example, Dervish from Guild Wars 1 or something like that? That would be really interesting to know if this will come, and if it will come, how much will come with it. So will we get a fully new elite spec, new trade line, new skills, new weapon? Or will be there some kind of cutoffs? So for example, I expect it to be no weapon there. I'm pretty sure that we don't get a weapon with it. I think we will get a trade line, and if we're lucky, we get also some skills with it. That's about it. I'm pretty sure that's all. Please let me know if the sound is good, by the way. If the sound is not good, please, then I have to change my microphone settings, so please let me know there. It's apparently too early on you here. It's to find some players for our Iceblood Saga. By the way, if you want to join for Iceblood Saga 5 strike missions, just join my character here in Eye of the North. Nice, sound is good. That's good. That's what we like. Very nice. Welcome, welcome, Alison. Welcome, Fuji. Yeah, I personally, Fuji, I'm with you there. I personally think that might be a really hot take, but I'm personally thinking that adding new elite specs is a mistake, because this will completely destroy every balance that they ever want to do. I think it's like the balance that they want to get in the game to like make every elite spec somewhat useful and stuff will be completely thrown overboard. If they can't do that right now that well, they try, but they can't, especially in competitive modes. When it comes to adding 9 more elite specs, I think it's like insane. I really think it's just very hard for them to add 9 elite specs without completely destroying the balance of the game. But, and that's now the most important thing here, if the expansion 6 really is the last expansion, I don't have any information on them, just saying that could be the case. What would be the best selling point of the last expansion? Adding crazy new elite specs. Yeah, that's my whole idea here. So that's why I would say, if they want to sell the last expansion, even with expansions like Sword and Chance Waltz before that didn't sell that well, if they add elite specs again, people will buy it just for the elite specs. Even if the story, even if the maps are not that great, people will buy it for the elite specs. And that's the crazy part. Yeah. Glad you like my Condi Chrono. I think it's a really fun build. I actually really want to recommend it to people that say the normal Power Chrono is too fast-paced or is too gimmicky or not their playstyle. The Condi Chrono one is so different and it's so fun to play. It's really, really cool. Yeah. I played it a lot for the video, of course, and I played it beforehand, and I thought this is a build I have to make a guide about. It's like insane, because if you don't make a guide about such a fun build with such cool boon output as well, you know, the crazy part is now I'm support, yeah? So I give myself might, I give myself stability. But if you play this Condi boon DPS chrono, you actually have the same boon output almost like this build, even though you are an offensive support. Second, we have a Firebrand, so that's not what we'll want to see, but that's good. The short way they can achieve success would be add one new profession like monk or dervish or something. I think the problem is with adding one new profession would be that the new profession will probably not have 3 elite specs coming with it. Yeah. So the problem there is for me that yes, in my opinion, that would be some kind of middle ground. But as soon as you add only one profession, everyone that wants to try out a new class, new elite spec, will try out this class. But someone that actually plays only Mesmer, only Guardian, will not get anything. And adding new elite specs will have not the same issue. That's the part here that I'm like, yeah, mentioning. So very good, and now we can go for DPS. But I don't know. It's just my opinion. You know, let me know your take there. I mean, the thing is here, Fuji, would you say that Dervish or Monk could be added to an existing class as an elite spec? That's for me the thing. If that's the case, I think that's more likely that we get that. Yeah, that's my take. I mean, I have in my I mean, Boon Chrono, you mean the power one or the Condi one, Scorpion? Because the power and the Condi one, I have build guides about it where I talk about the rotation. So there might be not a written one on Snorkros. I didn't check in the last few days, but the Condi version, actually, I am pretty sure that I made a rotation in there. Yeah, a dedicated one. Yeah, I think Fuji, I think it's ArenaNet is never in a good space with the design, because they will either have an expansion that is not selling that well because the features are not that insane, and then they will not change the game in a negative way. But if you are going, for example, for elite spec or new class or whatever, or a new race or whatever, that changes the gameplay quite drastically, and that will easily sell the expansion, at the same point, they will probably also break the rest of the game for better or for worse. That's my take. So I think they are always in a bad spot, because they always have to decide, is it so to say, yeah, do we want to break the game to have more sales, or do we want to say, nah, let's leave it like it is and try to stay in a balanced environment? But then we will probably not get good sales with Soto and Chantevice not performing that well. Then the next expansion without a big crazy selling feature will probably also not be like really good. I mean, the other thing could be that they could add heroes or something in Guild Wars 2, but I think that's not very likely because the system is extremely scuffed to add in Guild Wars 2. I think that's not gonna happen. But of course they could do something like that. But I mean, what kind of elite spec, for example, would take a monk? Maybe warrior, maybe guardian as an elite spec? Or a normal class would take that as an elite spec? Maybe, what is the other thing that could be there? Maybe Paragon, maybe Dervish, that could be like on the heavy armor classes, something like that. Monk would be really cool. I think maybe Monk for Guardian, that could be like something like that we want to see, yeah? Let's put all the scrappers in my squad. Yeah. Welcome, welcome. From a business perspective, they can do that so people pay for the expansion arena that gets the money, but it's pretty damaging for the veterans and longevity of the game. Exactly, and that's the problem. Do you want to damage the veterans and the longevity, or do you want to actually get a lot of money? I think it's really hard to make a decision there, because we don't know what's going on in the background. Do they want to keep developing Guild Wars 2 for the next 10 years? Then damaging it now is the bad thing. But if you want to keep the game, so to say, in maintenance mode for the next 10 years and don't add it that much more, then you would probably just get the most amount of money out of it. I'm to be completely honest here. I love the game. I will play it for the next 5 years, 10 years. But if it's damaged, I would be sad. But if at least I get crazy new builds to come out, that would be really good. What's going on? No one votes. All existing professions get a monk, paragon, dervish, elite spec added to them on the base armor weight. Okay, so what would it look like? So for example, I mean, monk for guardian, that makes sense, but what would be the next one? So for example, what would a thief get? What would Elementus? We're not an LFG. What? Okay. That is interesting, because for me personally, I think Mesmer could, for example, I could imagine something like some hexer or something, some people, some class that actually uses hexes a lot, so, you know, as elite skills and as utility skills. I think that makes sense. That would be medium dervish, heavy monk. Yeah, that makes sense. Ah, you mean paragon then for light armor class? Ah, okay. Yeah, I mean maybe that, but then they would have the same elite spec but on a different class. I mean, that would be some interesting theory crafting going on. Come on, why are people joining? Why are people joining and leaving instantly? That's so mean. What? Yeah, I mean, for example, I could also imagine some kind of, how is it called, Arcanist for Elementalists, like a 5th element that is like, for example, Elementalist has fire, water, earth, and air, yeah? But the interesting part is, why not add a 5th element, so to say, that is like arcane, that is like all elements in one, but this is not depending on the weapon, so it's like celestial avatar form or something, and it has damaging skills, it has utility skills, and has damaging skills, healing skills rather. So I think that would be like a cool way to add a new elite spec that didn't exist in any other game. I think maybe that could be like, yeah, I mean, it could be multi-classing, I can see that, yeah, but I feel like in Guild Wars 2 that would be a crazy hard balancing act. You know, if for example the elite spec is providing you with some crazy boons, and you put that on some kind of spec that is already providing a lot of boons like Mesmer, that would be like absolutely broken because you had so much cool stuff, whereas when you put it on a Necromancer, it's like, okay, it's interesting. But how can you balance that? Would it be like the trade lines would be differently balanced, or would be the trade lines completely the same? I think that would be a hard way, but it would be a really, really cool idea. I like that idea. Welcome, Snortop. Welcome, welcome. I think personally, Monk for Guardian, maybe Dervish could be, maybe Revenant or something like that. I'm not sure. Maybe Thief, yeah, could be also like that. I think that's definitely a really cool idea, getting new elite specs that have some, you know, drawback to Guild Wars 1. That would be interesting. But I like I said, it's for me, it's just the last way how they could make a lot of money. It's not something that I would say is the most healthy for the game, at least. Are you ready? There we go. I mean, that's with the assumption that the game is balanced anyway. Exactly, exactly. Firebrands takes twice as much effort to provide the same wounds as Chrono can with one button. Exactly, and that's like, that will not change, I would say, with the next expansion. I think it will actually get worse. That it's just not, they don't care that much anymore about a class being better or worse than others. It's just if they can do the same thing, that's fine, good enough. Even if it's like way harder to actually do that. Yeah. Yeah, balance patches would be horrible. I think that's actually not that. I think they will after that just say, yep, that's like, we accept that we can't balance the game that much anymore, especially in PvE. It's just some classes are just straight up better at doing a specific job than others, and we will not change that. Which is like okay as a statement, but I think that's not the most healthy one if you want to play the game for 10 years. Yeah. Welcome, EchoFox. Welcome, welcome. If you want, we can do some fractals later, because I heard you are burning out from doing fractals. So maybe if you do this with your friends, I guess maybe that makes it a little bit better. But what classes would you expect? You know, if you get really 9 new elite specs, what would you expect? So now we had Monk, Dervish, Paragon. What else could we get? What is like on the table? What is? You can't. I mean, that's a problem from your side. Maybe you have to switch to an A then, because then you might find some groups. But on, let's say on EU, it's probably not that many people are playing. Yeah, I can see why that is the case. Very good. We don't want to do burnout. That's good. Yeah, I think. What could, for example, Necromancer get? What is a Necromancer elite spec that is probably helping the class and also interesting to play? Maybe it has some, I don't know, we don't really have a Minion Master vibe theme thing. Maybe that could be like there, but I personally wouldn't like that. I wouldn't play that. I don't like that, but I think people would like it. So maybe something like that. Yeah, I heard mixed recommendations about Chrono Odyssey, I have to be honest. So I'm happy that I play Guild Wars 2 right now. No, it froze me. I don't know, but a quick heal Harbinger would be cool. Like losing life through Blight, and the less life, the more you heal or something. That would be maybe some kind of vampire-themed elite spec, you know? That it's like Harbinger, that you lose your life, but you use it to heal your allies. So that it's not like you use your life, so to say, to deal damage, but this is like completely the opposite way, that you actually heal allies by losing your own life. Like the Signet of Undead, something in that vein. That would be interesting, for sure. The problem is that would compete against the Scourge, and I'm not sure if that had to have then crazy direct healing output, because that's like one thing that Scourge doesn't have. So I think that would be like the spot where you would want to have that. Maybe. Could be interesting. I'd like to see a trait that allows you to disappear briefly on an echo. Can you imagine? You mean some kind of stealth or some kind of target break? That would be interesting for sure, yeah. I mean, vampires could... I think if that's really the elite spec, it's like some kind of vampire, I think that could be in there. But you have to be careful that it's not like using like traits that heal, traits that make you stealthy and all that stuff, because a stealthy healer, I feel like that can be absolutely broken in PvP and World vs. World. So I think you have to make it some kind of a decision. Maybe it's like on the same spot that you can't heal that much without the trait or something, because traits are really impactful. If you do some crazy stealth traits and healing traits and all other stuff in the same thing, it's actually, yeah, it can be quite crazy. Yeah, Warrior would be interesting. I mean, what would be the Warrior elite spec? Maybe Paragon? Maybe something absolutely new, absolutely crazy? Maybe? I don't know. I think Warrior really needs some help. I personally think Warrior needs some dedicated healing spec. That would be really cool. I'm not sure if Warrior fans really want that, but that's the niche that we don't have right now. Because Spellbreaker could have been that, but they didn't do it. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Dervish on Warrior could also. Yeah, do you like it? I mean, that's good. That's good, Snowdrop. I mean, is it like really good? Would you recommend it to someone that actually enjoys playing Guild Wars 2 and stuff and wants to go really try hard in the game? Or do you think it will be over after a while and the hype will not stay for that long? Because that's like something I don't want to engage in a game and make content maybe about it when people are quitting after 1 week or not really interested in it anymore. Yeah, it could be Dervish and Warrior. I like I said, I'm not completely sure where to put Dervish. I think Dervish is could be a new class as well. But at this point, I also think it's in my opinion quite unlikely that we get a new class. So yeah, we will see. We will see. Welcome, Feist. Welcome. Hard to say honestly, depends on how they play their endgame. Currently, it feels a bit janky, and the game absolutely needs some work. I mean, I think isn't it like in an early stage or something? It's not like completely out yet, so I wouldn't like completely judge the game on stuff like that. No, we lost someone. But we have crazy good DPS. Good job, guys, actually. We have really good DPS. We have Pain Train. Good job. Yeah, easy good. It's close better, exactly. It's not like it's close to being finished, so that doesn't mean it's like it doesn't have to have any mistakes at this point. So I think it could be still a good game. Yeah, maybe I will try it out. And to be honest, Echo Fox, I'm actually also thinking about doing some videos or at least some streams about Warframe, because I play it as well. Welcome, Mr. Broken Button. Welcome. Please, can you tell me how many hours do you have across all your characters? I have 13k hours across all my characters. So quite a bit, but not that many compared to other content creators. Yeah. In its current state, I wouldn't recommend it. The movement is janky due to the physics. Doing the jumping passes is super hard in Chrono. It has potential though. Yeah, I feel like that's for me, like if the combat and the movement and so let's say is not feeling bad, then I think this is like a really good game for me. But as soon as the combat doesn't get like my most, like, let's say, I wouldn't rate it very highly. If the combat is like clunky, if it's not like as fluid as I want it to be, then I'm not sure if I want to play the game. It's really like, for me, if the combat is really good, then I play the game. If it's not, then I have to think about it. And that's why I really am a bit struggling to find another game that I would say is even getting close to Guild Wars 2's funness for me. Yeah. I think Warframe is actually not that complex, personally. I think Warframe, the complexity of Warframe is that it doesn't explain anything at all to you. And as soon as you watch some guides on YouTube and stuff, I think actually it gets quite easy to understand. It's always the same stuff. So I personally think it's not too bad, but maybe that's just me. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Mr. Broken One. I mean, it's just, I played the game for 13 years, you know, so I play like 1K hours per year or something. That's still quite a lot, but of course, take that with a grain of salt. What is interesting though, the mobs are basically pure nerf. Heart of Thorns Raptors, they will fuck you up real good and fast. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, maybe that will destroy the press people, and then they will write bad reviews about it, because that's what the people in the press often do. Very interesting. I mean, that's then I guess it's some kind of challenging open world content. That's very interesting. Yeah. You are one of the scrappers. Very good. Yeah, I mean, I personally, I don't want to judge here, but I make a video about it in the future, and I feel like the strike mission, the raid LFG, and that kind of stuff where you need a commander, it's actually, in my opinion, it feels really like we're lacking crazy amounts of commanders. We don't have a lot of engagement in the content anymore. It's as soon as I create a group that looks for people, it fills up really fast. But if I want to find a group and don't want to command it, it's actually somewhat challenging, I feel like, especially if you're not playing to prime time. And that's to me, it's really crazy. It's really telling about the game right now. But I mean, that's a whole another topic on itself. Yeah. No, I think X-Mirage is actually, I say X-Mirage is really complex. I did never say that X-Mirage is not complex. That you misunderstood me there. I never said that. It's really, that's really complex. I'm just saying that Guild Wars 2 to get into in the open world is I would say quite easy. And getting into Warframe to a higher level is harder than that. But getting into raids, getting into PvP in Guild Wars 2 is harder than getting into Warframe. That is like just a fact, I would say. No, X-Mirage is complex. That's true. We will see if that will change after the next balance patch, if it's completely changing how you do it. But I think this is not like, yeah, not something I would recommend to anyone. It's not a very easy build to learn, X-Mirage. I remember when Heart of Thorns first came out and we didn't know what little pests those raptors were. Yeah, exactly. I mean, back then it was like you thought, oh, that's the open world, like in like Silver West or something. But then you get there and you get demolished by almost every mob there. It's actually, that was really fun. We had, I think back then we had press reviews of the game and saying it's way too hard. It's impossible to play. It's too hard. You will die every second moment. It's actually so funny. Yeah. Yeah. That's how the time changes, I guess. Yeah, X-Mirage is good, don't get me wrong, but if you want to get the rotation nailed down and want to get like, how is it called? Like typical 45 or 46k DPS, which is the benchmark that you currently get actually with this build. If you want to reach that, especially in real fights, then you will be challenged. I'm not saying this is impossible to reach, I'm just saying this is something that I wouldn't expect the average gamer to reach, because it's like the most challenging build, especially in real fights, to actually perform on. That's just the fact that's harder than Bladezone, and that says something. Yeah. Also interesting how little you can do with guilds in Guild Wars 2. I mean, you could do a lot of stuff with guilds. That's the thing. You could do open world bosses. You could do convergences. You could do raiding. You could do... What else could you do? World versus world and that stuff. You could do that, but it's not incentivizing to do that. It's not really helping you to do that. You can easily do that easily with just random people, or just do it alone for the most part as well. That's the problem. Guild Wars 2 doesn't really have any incentive to be played with people that you actually want to play all the time together. The only exception would be like Harvest Temple CM or LCMs. That's really like the only exception. All the other thing, you can play it easily with just random people that you met the first time. That's the thing. It feels like a solo MMO, and that is good for a lot of players. but that is not really good for when it comes to guilds. Yeah, you can easily do stuff with your guild and try to build it up, but what's the incentive? What do you get from that? Not a lot. Not a lot. Throne of Liberty has more guild incentives than Guild Wars 2. Yeah, and exactly, and that's a problem to me. I feel like this is something that is really turning down players that want to engage with the MMO side of the game. Because Guild Wars 2 is after all an MMO, but even though it doesn't feel like that. And I feel like that's a big problem when it comes to getting new players in the game, because Guild Wars 2 is advertised as an MMO, but feels like a single-player game with some multiplayer aspects. And if you advertise a game that has like no MMO structure, like raids, like fractals and that kind of stuff, very easily market into the game for guilds as well, like doing 50-person strike missions, or how convergence is how they are called in Guild Wars 2. That would be like, if they would market it like that, that would be completely different, but they don't, and that means that people just join and that they don't have any incentives of actually playing the game in the way that is, so to say, provided. It's really sad, actually. And the guild system is, I think the guild system when Heart of Thorns came out is actually quite good, but the problem is it doesn't get really expanded that much, and that's not helping either. So, what do you use the guild hall for? I mean, you can decorate it. You can decorate the guild hall, or you can just have fun with your friends in there and get some money back, get some stuff in there, but it's not really like insane usage in terms of other things, yeah. They should rename the game to Community Wars Guild 2 because it's most people in different communities coming together. Yeah, that's a problem. That's really like some kind of bubbling off, that you have tryhards bubbling off in their own bubble, that they do strike missions and raids and stuff together as a static. And then you have the open world community in their own bubble, and then you have the world versus world and PvP community in their bubble. But it's not really like the people are actually engaging with each other if you're not really trying to actively find a new bubble. It's really sad. It's not like people really pug a lot and do that all the time. Yes, there are quite a lot of pugs going around, but the amount of people, especially in raids and in fractasiums and stuff, they're doing things together all the time without going into LFG at all, is quite high, and that's a problem. Yeah, exactly. You can do a lot of cool stuff in guild halls if you do events and really community-driven stuff. But it's not like, what can I say? It's not really feeling like something that is really necessary or a lot of people do anymore, because it's not really getting updated in a way that is like really crazy. People will do that every single day because we get some new items to go for. It feels like it got left alone quite a bit after homesteading in that sense, in my opinion. I'm still not sure if the guild hall system is something they actually want to increase and want to do all the time, or if they just want to say this is something of a relic of the past. I really don't know how they actually want to keep that going in the future. But it's sad to see, because I think if you have a really active guild, I think it's very likely that you actually find people to have fun with in different types of game modes, and you can actually enjoy the game for way longer than you would normally. I'm pretty sure about that. But yeah, I mean, we were talking about elite specs, and I feel like that's like another feature that could come with the next expansion, that they actually buff guilds like crazy. That not elite specs are coming, but we get some crazy feature for guilds. Maybe. That would be incentivizing a lot of old players to come back, or just new players enjoying the game because there's someone in their guild or someone in another game that tells them, yeah, there's a crazy good new community feature in the game. Maybe that could help as well. But personally, I think this is a feature that they say, nah, Guild Wars 2 is more like a solo player game. We don't need guilds for the most part. They are in there, but we don't need to update them that much. I think that's more the realistic take, what ArenaNet is doing. It's more like the guilds are there for world versus world, for people that want to have a community, but it's not necessary at all to play the game. I'm thinking it's because PvE likes the game, the way that they play, and it's safe World versus World or PvP were made part of it and you needed to do anything, it would be less interesting to both game modes. Yeah, for sure, for sure. But like I said, PvP is like in a drastic downfall, and World versus World, I would also say, is not like... It's active, don't get me wrong, but if you're on the wrong server right now with the alliance system, it feels like completely dead. That's the problem. You really have to be in a World versus World guild and stuff to actually get crazy active content. That's not really good for new player. I really think they have to fix that and make that more appealing and more interesting to new players. Yeah, for sure. I honestly think there won't be huge changes in MMO Guild Wars 2. Yes, class meta may change, but with the upcoming balance patch, but no mechanics. Yeah, that might be true. That might be true. I personally hope that we get actually elite specs at this point. I think it will break the game's balance, but I think this will change the game in a way that actually gets new players and old players excited as well. And so that's what I would say. But maybe that's just my take as a little bit of a copium enthusiast about Guild Wars 2. So, morning, Linus, morning. Big fan of your builds, but I have to say some of them are a bit outdated. I tried reroaming Condisol base and the trades have changed in them. Yes, they have. That's true. That's true. I mean, what can I say? You know, if there's a balance patch, they will change, and I don't want to, let's say, completely say this build is trash anymore. I mean, most of the trades just change their name and stuff, but you will still take them. So, yeah, you're right. Some of the builds are outdated. But I have my spreadsheet, and you can type !builds in chat, and there is a spreadsheet where I actually gave comments to all the builds and say it's outdated, it's still playable and stuff like that. Yeah. It seems like it has always been that way. Yeah, that's true. I think it's to be honest, Guild Wars 2 was never designed as a game that was crazy. Yeah, what can I say? I think Guild Wars 2 was never designed in a way that is like insane incentivized to be played with friends. Yes, it might be better with friends, but it was never like crazy incentivized. And that's why the Guild Wars 2 guild aspect of Guild Wars 2 was really never, I don't know, the most crazy thing about the game. Yeah, I think Alliance system destroyed the PvP, the World vs. World aspect of Guild Wars 2 for a lot of, let's say, more casual players that are not in the World vs. World guild. Yeah, someone like me that doesn't engage like crazy with Zerg fights all the time. This is like crazy how much it changed in a negative way. For players that are crazy into Zergs and crazy into World vs. World guilds and stuff, I think it might be changing for the better. Yes, I will change that later. Yeah, forgot that one. Good point. But all the others are up to date or are correctly changed. Yes. There will be a lot of new builds after the balance patch. That's correct, and that means that a lot of old builds will also not be playable anymore, and I have to update this sheet. That's why I'm, let's say, waiting a bit with updating it right now, because on Tuesday I have to do it again. So keep that in mind. That's why it's like not perfectly updated yet. Yeah, I get the criticism. I'm happy when you get feedback. Always let me know if there's some kind of build or something that is not up to date, because I'm just a human, you know. Sometimes I miss something. Let me know. And then I can update it. Just be civilized about it, and I'm always happy to do that. Yes, I'm always happy about feedback, so don't worry. Welcome, my charlatan. Yes, I mean, dungeon revamp would be really fun. I personally would really love that, but I think that dungeons is like, they really went hard on fractals, and that's what they want to have. I think dungeons is like completely unlikely for them that they will ever add dungeons again. I think that's just not what they want to have in a game. Fractals is the thing that they want to have, and that's like competing against dungeons, so it's quite unlikely that we get dungeons, even though I would like dungeons a lot. Yeah. Guild Wars 2 was intended as the anti-war, which is why there is barely any focus on having to interact. Exactly. And that's like a lot of players nowadays that are looking for MMOs are actually looking specifically for, let's say, not WoW clones, but games that actually have to interact again, because that's what new games typically also either don't have or are not focused on. And Guild Wars 2 is like exactly that, but it's old. So why would people go to an old game that has something that they don't really want? They want to interact with a community. So I think Guild Wars 2 is in a weird spot there, for sure, for sure. Yeah, glad you liked Conti Chrono so much, Alison. Happy about that. It's a fun build, yes. So, There we go. Yeah, I mean, I'm really hyped for the Tuesday's balance patch. I think I will do like, I already have like 5 build ideas that I want to test back then, so it will be really like crazy. What can I say? I think a lot of builds that I have on my YouTube channel will change how they are played, or at least what traits maybe you have, or what kind of gear you have, especially Chronomancer, for example, will change. But do I have to do updated videos about them? Maybe I will just add them in the comment section. I think that's more realistic, because not all the builds will change like drastically. Maybe you just add a different gear piece or something, but yeah. Okay, Esteban says, for me it's better alliances for various reasons. The old pre-alliance system was impossible to balance as a population. That is true, that is true. This is a little better, but it retains many critical issues. To explain myself, I would have to write a lot, and it's impossible. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think Guild Wars 2's alliance system has its pros and its cons. And it's just some people are on the negative side because of their playstyle, and some people are on the positive side because of their playstyle. So it's really like, yes, sometimes you have to say this is a good thing. Sometimes you have to say this is a bad thing. But most of the time, especially in Guild Wars 2, it feels like it's like it has its pros and its cons, you know. And I feel like the alliance system made it worse for some players, and that are the vocal majority or the vocal minority, depending on how many people you asked. But in general, I would say Guild Wars 2 World vs. World is still an amazing game mode, and I hope they actually buff it and make the rewards more interesting and stuff like that, so that actually the alliance system can actually be more pronounced than it already is. I think that would be really good. But if they just leave it like that, I feel like it's a change that is not impacting too many people, sadly, in a crazy way. That's the sad part. The other day I saw a Celestial Scourge Alacrity heal doing 10k damage. Do you know if that will change, at least gear and weapon wise? So I have a guide about it, and actually if you play it correctly, you can do 20k DPS with a Celestial Scourge and do the same amount of healing. Yeah. So I would say this is a really good build. It will change in terms of healing output, because you actually take transfusion on this build, and then you will not have transfusion, and you don't have a staff, because that's the thing that changes with the staff trait. So I think the build will change, but I think the damage output and stuff will be quite similar, especially if you use no transfusion and no staff after the patch. Yeah. So I think the build is still very worthwhile to play. I think it might be a little bit less defensive. Yeah. That is my prediction. Still playable, but a little bit a different situation when you use it. It's like when you don't really need a dedicated healer, then you go for the Alacrity Celestial Scourge. Yes. Yeah, I think making new videos about something that is like just a small change is a lot of effort for not a real big just payback. And that's always for me, like, I don't want to put a lot of effort into a new video where I like change one thing that is the gear or one trait changing like that. I typically would rather put that in my spreadsheet, say this and this changed, check out the description for more or something. And then I just put like 3 sentences in there where I talk about the changes. I think that's more reasonable, and people that watch the video can see, oh, this changed, okay, that's good. Or maybe pin it in the top comment or something like that. I think that's the more reasonable approach. But there could be something where like the complete build changes, where I use, for example, Alacrity Heal Scourge. I will probably make a complete guide about it, because I want to use the staff on there with the new changes. That's definitely something. Yes, I will do Fractals after this short intermission of Dragon Bash, yes. And then you can join if you want. If Snowdrop is with you, then we can do that as 3 people, of course, as well. Now it's terrible, even worse than before. I mean, I can imagine if you have, especially in the off hours, like you are playing on C, it's actually insane. Yeah, yeah. I can see that. And that's bad. You know, I'm also not playing all the time in the evenings, and that's a big problem, because that's like where the most amount of players are playing, and that's only you not always the best thing. If you want to play off hours, it feels like you sometimes, I roam around for like 1.5 hours and I don't meet anyone. It's not joking. It's sometimes really bad. Yeah, I think if you have the right build, then you could also easily go for interesting things. For sure. Like staff on Chronomancer can feel really bad, but as soon as you play the right build with it, it feels actually quite fun. And I think I'm actually looking forward to the staff changes on Necromancer, because I feel like this could really change how Alacrity Heal Scourge is played, and it's really fun maybe for me to play then, and maybe I play that then instead of tournaments all the time in Fractals. Maybe. We will see. I doubt it, but maybe. One of the problems is the multi-accounts that I'm a strong in judgment. Hey, second, those mega alliances should only invite people who play regularly. Casual people should be placed randomly. There would be a minimum of balance. I got the idea that the world versus world for the title is balance is only in prime time. Yeah, I feel like the balancing is really, really tough after the alliance thing. And a lot of casual players that just randomly join and play, it's really like they are the swinging thing. And there are a lot of them, and that's the problem. There are a lot of them, and it's really hard to balance them all the time. So, yeah, I see why you're going there, for sure. Yeah, it's not Siren's Reef. I have it on the top right-hand corner. It's fine, Filthy. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're feeling well then if you overslept. So, let's go for some fractals, I guess. Yeah, if you have any questions, any feedback, please let me know. I'm always happy to debate some stuff. But personally, I think actually the next expansion, we will get the announcement in July. I expect the announcement to be at the latest possible time. It's like typical ArenaNet fashion. They say it will be in July, and then it will be like the last day in July. That's when I expect the expansion announcement. So we will see if we get some crazy things there. Probably it will just be the name of the expansion, and maybe it will be some kind of story hint, but I don't think we will get crazy features already announced. I think they will just drop this over the course of time, so that we'll get maybe like saying we get this feature, combat feature in August, and then we get like say this kind of story bit in the late August, and then we get like dedicated guides about what is actually coming in terms of legendaries or something in September or something. I think that's more likely. And I also think the expansion will drop on 28th of October, so the last possible Tuesday in October. So I think it's quite a while out, and I personally hope that we get some crazy good changes to combat as well, not only just the chatbot or something. I hope we get crazy content for me as a content creator, like maybe 9 elite specs. That would be like my dream. But it will break the balance. I'm aware of that, for sure. New expansion release around Christmas might do really well. I think the thing is, we know that the expansion will release in October. And we know that they will announce it in July. That's what they told us. So the thing is, will they tell us that they will work on another expansion? Or will they just wait and will not tell us? That's really telling. Because they told us last time that before Soto, they already told us that there will be next expansion with Gentle Wilds. Thanks for all the follows. Really appreciate it. So the question now is, do we... No, I mean, we can just... No, I don't want... just let's do it together. It's fine. I don't need to do it quickly. I can wait. It's fine, Echo Fox, it's fine. So, for me personally, I think that the next expansion, if they announce it quite soon, let's say in July, maybe when the next expansion drops in October, if they announce it, we know that there will be next expansion. But if they don't announce it, that's very telling in my opinion, because that means they don't have a clear plan, or they don't want to tell us about their plan yet with the future of Guild Wars 2. That's very telling, very telling. Guild Wars 2 Return of Joker and the Dragons? That would be interesting. I don't think so, but that would be interesting. Did you see those 2 new MMOs that are beasting, right? Chrono Odyssey and Soulframe? Yes, they are really interesting looking, and maybe I will try them out. But I feel like it's very short-lived right now because they are just very early in their development, or somewhat early in their development. They're not out yet, and that's not something that I want to make like crazy amounts of content, go really deep in the game yet, because there might be still crazy changes. Yeah. Yeah. Let's invite you. There we go. Nice, you try Condi Harp. That's what we want. That will be a battle. Nice. I like it how someone roasted you, you know, or how someone, who was this someone? Yeah, how you got roasted by Echo Fox, I think, in the YouTube comments. Yeah, I like it. That's content. That's content. Shadow drop of Guild Wars 3 for sure. No, I think the problem is they have to do it right. If they really wanted to do Guild Wars 3, they have to make it right with the hype and the marketing and stuff. If they don't do it correctly, I feel like that's like insane miss on everything. Yeah. I mean, that would be interesting if it would be more about the gods. That would be really interesting. I think people might like that, yeah. People might like that. Give me a second, I will be right back. Oh, I'm back, sorry. I had to get something to drink. Oh, we have a group. That's what we like. Oh no, no pain, no gain. It's actually... It's okay. I heard that every Condi hub does less DPS than my Scourge gets banned from stream. Let's see. I mean, Scourge is actually really good in this fractal as well. I think people always go for Condi hub, but it's not necessary. You can actually play Scourge quite well there as well. It's like not absolutely necessary. Yeah. It's what I love so much about Guild Wars 2, so many different classes builds to try, hard to get bored. Yeah, exactly. That's why I still play the game, and I really fear that when I start a new MMO, that I will get bored after a while, just because they don't have that many different things to do, you know? Even if there is content, I think the difficulty or the change in pace with always playing the same few classes, I think that's not always what I want to have. You know, Guild Wars 2 has not that much content, but at least I have crazy amounts of different classes and builds that I can try. Yeah. But maybe that's just me. We will see. Maybe I will play in a year from now completely different games. Could be. You never know. But I don't think I will ever drop Guild Wars 2 if Guild Wars 3 is not coming out. That's quite likely. The 6 basically summons all the previous fallen foes and combine them to make the yeah, that would be interesting. I personally think the storyline of the gods and stuff would be really cool because they teased that, or they did that already with Balthasar and Cormier. I think that would be really interesting if they would just do that again. Oh my god, the fears. Did he corrupt us? What happened there? I would like to see artificial intelligence in the next Guild Wars 3 to have an innovation like that. That would be really cool. I always bring that up, and I personally think this is like a really cool feature. If you would have some AI content in there to make it easier, to make the pipeline... I saw it. Very good. Yeah, to make it easier for them to create content. I personally think that would be amazing. Yeah. But I'm not sure how much they actually can implement that. Ah, you cheat. That's good. It would be really cool if they could implement it in a way that is like helping them to make more content, but also helping us to get, so to say, more interesting things to repeat without having to always like being completely sad that we don't get enough content or that we don't get enough. What can I say? I'm personally always very in favor of getting more content, even if it's quite repetitive because of AI restrictions or something like that. But I would always love some procedurally generated content that actually helps us getting into the game and more cool features without actually changing it too much. For the developers, that's... No, we lost already. No. That's not good. It's actually... I'm really surprised when people die here. You know, this fractal is so easy. It's like, I think this is the easiest challenge mode. And, you know, you can misclick, that can happen. But I'm always surprised if people die here consistently. It's really easy. All new MMOs are very badly polished. I want to come back to Guild Wars 2 every time. Chrono, EDOC, Throne of Liberty. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's why I'm not really engaging with new MMOs for the most part, because they feel like they really want to get your money in the beginning because they have some really cool looks and stuff. And then after a while you realize there is either not that much content, the content is not that great, or the combat is actually not as good as the older games. And you just go back to the older games. It's really like that easy. And that's the problem. They just want to get your money in the first few months, then you come back to the older games. And I don't want that. I don't want to spend my money on a game that I know will not last for more than a year or more than a few months. And that's a big problem to me. That's really a big problem. So that's why I really say, no, I'm sticking to Guild Wars 2 for now. Maybe there will be another crazy game coming up, then I will change my opinion on that. But right now, no, I don't see it. I mean, your DPS is good. You're out DPing as our Chrono. I mean, he was dead, but still. And you also out DPS Echo Fox, so we have that at least. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, exactly. Whenever you go for a different game, I feel like what I have with Guild Wars 2, how much fun I have, you can't replicate that, and I will come back to Guild Wars 2 at some point. And that's why I didn't do any content about other games yet. In most scenarios, because I really feel like this is not something that I can do consistently. I can't do content about Chrono Odyssey, for example, right now, because I feel like when I do that, it will be 1 or 2 videos. Oh my god, we lost another person. What are they doing? We lost another one. People are trolling. Actually crazy. This fractal is not that hard. People are sleeping already. Or still, probably. More like it. Still sleeping. New god? Maybe. Interesting. Interesting storyline then. We got a new god in Guild Wars 2. Could be a new storyline for sure. Yesterday, I soloed Balthasar for the first time with my Untamed. That felt so good. Yeah, I mean, that's a cool feeling for sure. I mean, that was one of the most cinematic stories in Guild Wars 2 for sure. That's why I'm always so... I think personally back then, POF was not the smartest way to do it in Guild Wars 2, but I think it feels really great to actually just solo it and engage with the content there. I totally agree with you there. Search Project Sit to understand what I mean with AI and MMO. Yeah, I will definitely take a look at that later. Sounds interesting. I really hope we get that more consistently. Some kind of AI generated things. I'm not sure if we should rest this person or we just leave them there. Let's see. 50%. I mean, we have to do everything correctly and we will be fine. Maybe we can do it in the split phase. The Commander Wayfarer ascends to become the new god. That would be interesting. I mean, it feels already like we are quite like... we are already quite close to that because we feel like we killed all the dragons, we killed like one god and stuff. We are quite like powerful and stuff. So I guess that's not something that is like unrealistic, but I feel like personally that would be a very bad storytelling. But it's fun. It's fun for sure. Yeah. I mean, it would be really interesting, but I feel like that's not a classical story that you want to tell in your game, that your character becomes the absolutely broken, overpowered god in the game. I think that's not really like quite likely. Welcome, Antons. Welcome. You're missing more, filling the bar story? Yeah, I personally think it would be way better if you could get more. Yeah, I think the story is like, what can I say? I personally think the Guild Wars 2 story is not the greatest. I'm not a big story enjoyer anyway. I'm playing the game for the combat and not for the story. But I personally think making a story decision like that would be really interesting. I'm not sure if people will say, whoa, that's the thing that we want to get. And that's why we play Guild Wars 2, because it has crazy story turns at the end, that the character becomes the god. Maybe. But I personally doubt that this will be like the biggest selling point or the biggest storyline they ever told. I think they should get back to some grounded things, like going back and saying more like content that is like to the ground, maybe some mysteries in the world, solve them, and not always have this big looming threat of something that is like absolutely crazy, will kill you with just looking at you and that kind of stuff. I don't think this is the good storytelling, personally. Yeah, this fractal is bad. I agree. This fractal is it's not that good. Feels very long. You got 2? Oh no. That doesn't look good. We lost someone. No, that's not good. That feels very chaotic. I'm not sure if we can do it. Maybe we can still do it. But we lost a lot of DPS. We have only Echo Fox. That's good. Please don't stand in the circles and we will be decently fine. No, it's a fractal, but still, I get what you mean. It's especially for a new player, this fractal is just, it feels really tedious to do, especially if you do it on normal mode, but even the challenge mode feels really painful, slow, and you can see we are doing it 4-man now. It's not that good. Yeah. What is happening? Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think every player here in the squad, except maybe Echo Fox and me, died already in this fractal. That's like, and the word actually died twice. So it's a scuffed run, and it's not my healing. They just got one shot all the time. So I guess we are fine for now. Let's hope we stay like that. But that I really don't want to do it again. It feels really bad if we have to do it again. So come on, 14 more %, we will be fine. I hope we will get that. As always, if you have any questions about the game, about anything, please let me know. I'm always happy to answer it, and also happy to debate some stuff. Yeah. I mean, if Goku can become the god of destruction, why can't the commander be? Yeah, I mean that's true. Could be. That was close. Let's get CC going. Yeah, people die to random one-shots. That's just the life in fractals, especially in pucks. That's like, yeah, what can I do? I tried my best, but it's not like possible to carry them if they don't do the mechanics at all. It's fine. I think we will succeed. I'm pretty sure. Wasn't the smoothest one, for sure. That much is for sure. Yes, I'm going for the Signet trade right now, because typically in this fractal you can get a lot of nice boon duration if you do that. And you can see I'm not having that much issue even with the no pain or gain, and I'm using the boon removal as well. So I'm taking care of every single mechanic. That's why I'm using the Signet trade, to get more boon duration on my allies, so that I can upkeep my quickness and alacrity and all the other nice boons very consistently. No, don't rest. We will just kill it. Okay. We can rest after that. Or the gyro rests you, I guess. That's fine. Very good. Now we can rest. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, that would be really cool, Esteban. I'm really interested to see if ArenaNet actually does that. That would be really interesting. If ArenaNet has some AI working in the background, that would be really cool. I would love that for sure. I'm not sure how much that actually... I don't even know if Guild Wars 3 or whatever they are doing is actually an MMO at all. So I don't know if they actually have that kind of idea or want to have that in there. But if, that would be really cool to have some really interesting things. Okay, now I have to swap my trade back. And we have no pain, no gain now. That's good. That's fine. I'm happy when you can give some feedback there and have more knowledge about it. And I can really engage with that as well, you know. I mean, it's really cool if you have NPCs that are, so to say, not feeling like cold, but can also react to players and just have interesting relationship. I'm not sure if Guild Wars 3 or whatever will have that as well. It would be really interesting for sure. I like that. Yeah. What's the best Living Worlds episode to get after Bitterfrost Frontier? I mean, that depends heavily what you want to focus on. I personally think going for Living Worlds Season 4 is a really good one, because their story is decent, the maps are decent, so I personally think this is really good. You get a lot of rewards there, but it depends heavily what you want to do. If you want to go for farming maps, if you want to go for it is really like everyone has different opinions what is like the best thing to get, I would say. There we go. We got the CC. I'm not sure if we actually have enough DPS for that, but let's see. Don't think they would have the budget for that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You know, maybe if they do it in-house, maybe that's cheaper. Maybe they have people that can do that. Maybe. But I think if they don't, I think then it actually will be probably too expensive if they don't know how to do it. That's the problem. But they are actually on a big hiring spree. I think they, in the last 4 years, they actually hired 50 people that are dedicated to a project in the background. I made a video about that where I talk about it. That was close. Yeah. So I think what are you doing? Are you trying to place a portal or are you trying to get killed? Oh, my healing. I tried to heal you. Ugh. That was scuffed. That was so scuffed. I have to be honest. That was just scuffed. The last few times I actually got like killed even though I was standing directly next to the stone. That's why I was like going safe now and going for the back thing here. Oh my god, we didn't get this easy. Problem is we would have gotten the 2 even on the 8k requirements, so they aren't even new. Yeah, I mean, it's completely fine. You know, I don't worry about if we get the kill first time. I'm fine. You know, if you die, if you revive, whatever, just getting the kill is enough for me. I don't care that much. So don't worry. Don't worry. Yeah, just lurking around is fine, of course. No, we get another. We get 2 portals. That's crazy. Yeah, glad Cloud that you join the Power Mech. The Power Mech is really strong. Can heavily recommend it to people that don't want to have a crazy hard build to play and still have good DPS. It's probably the best LI build right now. Yeah, so be sure to give it a try if you're a mech enjoyer. But I would say, like, if ArenaNet can put... Oh my god, the damage. That was a lot of damage. Where did all that damage come from? I think we have this... Yeah, this doesn't help. That's a lot of damage. I think Scrapper is, especially in Fractals, Power Scrapper is really, really good. I would say Scrapper is heavily underrated by the community, how good it is, because it has crazy good boon access if you go for a healer, it has crazy good DPS if you go for a DPS build, and it has crazy good defensive in the kit as well. Personally, I would say... Can we get the rest in time? Yes, we can. Personally, I would say in Fractals, especially CMs and Power Fractals, it's actually really worthwhile to go for a Scrapper build that is like full DPS because you get so much barrier all the time. It's really, really easy, really safe to play, to not die and get a lot of DPS out. I would say highly recommended for Fractals. For raids and strikes, it's actually good as well. It is not as broken as in Fractals though. And the craziest part, I would say, is Heal Scrubber is very underrated as well. And I would say that's something that is not even that hard to play. So maybe you can take a look at that as well if you want to play some kind of engineer healer. I think it's probably the best engineer healer right now. Nice. Yeah, I mean, oh my god, did I just get one shot here? I think that's why I don't like the Water Phase. The Water Phase with those, you know, with those instabilities, we take like, I die. That's just, we die here. I guess that's a cursed run for sure. Yeah, those two together is like insane. I try to heal, but you get, no, I get one shot here. That's like the insane part. I got one shot because you were not all standing in there. I got one shot, so I can out heal it. What is the easiest healer for Fractals? I personally think Chronomancer is quite, it's not the, I would say not on average, not the easiest healer, but it's the best performing healer for how easy it is. Hope that makes sense. So I personally would say Chronomancer is the best healer to play in Fractals overall. Hope that makes sense. I think this is good showcase of why Chronomancer is so good, because look at those boons, look at this safety that we get from the healing. Even though we have crazy annoying instabilities here, we will still probably be fine, hopefully in this run when no one actually strolls in the split phases. So yeah. Yeah, Warrior's fun as well. Yeah, that's true. I would be sick if they add a new elite, especially for Revenant. I think in general, new elite specs would be really good. In general, that would be really good. I personally think that would break the balance, but it would bring veterans back to the game. It would bring new players to buy the expansion. I think it would in general be a very good selling point of the new expansion. So I personally think this is actually what they're gonna do. I changed my opinion. I'm pretty sure this will be the thing that is actually selling them the next expansion, even though it might be the last. Yeah. I was hoping Revan could get a hero stand that specifically is gun rival. I don't know. Maybe we can get that. But I actually think we will not get a weapon with this. I think that might be a hot take, but I think the new elite spec will only provide one trade line and one skill setup. Yeah, so new skills with it, but it will not provide new weapons. I think they made that quite clear, the decision back when they said we get all the weapons with all the elite specs now. I think that's not very likely that we get a new weapon. I don't see that actually, because that's like going back to their original design decision, and I think it just doesn't make that much sense. And we already have covered so many weapons, we talked about it on last stream, that the weapon coverage on some classes like Ranger is like insane. There is no real niche anymore that you can cover with a new weapon. So the problem is that what can you actually fill with a new weapon? I think it just want to have an old weapon and have new traits. That's my prediction. Yeah, have fun, Intense, have fun. I'm playing World vs. World in Final Fantasy story at the same time to grind conflicts, dual wheeling, MMO. Yeah, I mean, that's good. That's how you do it. Enjoy 2 MMOs at the same time, then you will probably not run out of content in a long time. Yeah, for sure. I mean, Greatsword to Elementalist would be really fun. I think a lot of people wanted that. I think a lot of people also wanted Longbow. They got somewhat close with Spear, I would say. But Greatsword, yeah, I guess Greatsword would be, a lot of people would like Greatsword on Elementalist. That was a very close break. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Some classes like Ranger could easily get a new ranged weapon like Rival or something. Sure, that could be in there. But I think the niche, what is it like? It's competing against the Longbow then, which is already not that useful. It's competing against the main hand X, which is already like a very good ranged option. So what kind of build would you expect to be played with a Rival and not a Longbow? I think this is the problem. That's why I'm talking about. Yes, they have some weapons that you could easily fit in there. Yes, sure. Especially like Elementalist Engineer and stuff. But what kind of niche would they fill that is different from already filled niches? That's the problem that I'm talking about. So I think the trade lines is way more interesting, and more skills on the utility bar and stuff like that. That's way more interesting and way more likely that they fill that out, personally. Welcome, Mitsuko. Welcome, Potato Wedge. Already announced on EOD that EOD will give us the last elite specs. I personally think they actually said in an interview, we have that somewhere, I don't have the link right now, obviously, because I'm streaming, but they said it once in an interview that they are not clear if they will ever come back to elite specs. So they did not say we will never do it again. That was Crouch talking there, I think, in the interview. So the game director. I think it's quite likely that we actually will, at least if we don't get it in this expansion and we get another one, I think we might get elite specs back then. I think really to boost the selling of the expansion, that is the last one before another unannounced project or something comes out. I think it's quite likely that they will actually, oh, that's so close. I think it's quite likely that that's a lot of damage that you took there, guys. That we get the elite specs here, because I really think the elite specs will boost the expansion sales by so much that they will actually guarantee getting a really big hit. That's why they probably rethink it and say, oh, fuck balance. We don't care if we can balance it. We will just have fun and sell this to our players and we will get a lot of money from it. That's my prediction there. Yeah. I think it will completely scuff the game. I'm with you there. I think it's not very likely that this will be a good thing for the game in that sense, but it will be a good thing for selling, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that would be cool, Q. Just let me know in our Discord and you can just show me there what do you want to do. Sure, really cool. Cool, thanks. So let's focus here on for a bit and get the CC going. I think I can't retarget more anymore. I forgot. It's fine, we got the CC. That would be really interesting. Underwater weapons, add a new underwater weapon so that we get a new underwater expansion and stuff. That would be interesting. I don't see that actually, but it would be such an United move. Just say, people don't want underwater combat or people don't really care about it. Let's add some more of it, you know. Could be. More elite spec will just hurt the balance even more. The current balance is a mess. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. But I feel like the biggest selling feature that they could ever add to a new expansion will be elite specs. So that's why I would say, personally, for content creation standpoint, it would be amazing. From a game balance design, as an enjoyer of Guild Wars 2, I think it would be horrible. From a financial aspect, it would be really good for them. So I think, what are they gonna do? I don't know. But I feel like if they can do it, I think they might actually go for it. Just to get more money out of it. Next expansion will have an amazing release, not finish the story, and they will just give us white text on black background telling us the story in the post. that sounds very doomer, I have to be honest. I don't think that it's actually I'm not hoping for something like that. Obviously, more elite specs means more content, more options for people to try. PvE players don't care about balance in any way, but competitive players are the ones who suffer. The problem is, like, I would say potato. PvP is like already a game mode where people don't play any hardcore anymore. You just play for fun. You know, that's really, like, PvP is in a state where I would say people play very casually. There is like 2 hands full of people that still play quite try hard, and that's about it. So I personally think, in my opinion, it's like guaranteed that they don't care about PvP that much. They will put out push, and that's it. It's really like, that's where they want to say, you need some more AR. Yes, that's the thing that is actually, I would say, the thing that is. And World versus World, what can I say? World versus World is like in a weird spot. We talked earlier with the alliance system. It's not that it's not active, but it's like, it feels like it's splitting people that are active from people that are playing casually, and that's not something that is really good. So what can I say? I think at this point they just say balance is like scuffed already, so let's just have some fun at this point. Yeah, I mean, I can see that, Q. I can see that. Welcome, Aoki. Welcome. That's because ANET threw its competitive aspect of the window. Guild Wars 2 had giant esport potential, but they just screwed it up. Yeah, I think back then it like ESL and stuff, if they would have done that consistently, and then it would be insane amount of content that they could have done and marketing and stuff. But, and that's the problem, they never came back to that. And Guild Wars 2 was always designed, don't forget that. The game was always designed with a competitive mindset in the game. Yeah? So you always had people that were like playing the game because of the great combat, and the combat was designed in a way that was only focused or mostly focused to competitive modes, that you could easily see that in the beginning of the game, where we don't have any PvE endgame, because the endgame was supposed to be the PvP, World versus World and PvP. So what changed back then? They noticed that it's actually quite hard for them to keep the player base engaged with those game modes, and they just found a better option to make open world content and maybe make some easy strike missions and that kind of stuff. And that changed drastically when they dropped the ESL, and then the combat is still the same, and that's a big problem. And I think it's already too late to come back to this. I'm pretty sure this is like the case. But what can I say? I would really love to have more PvP and World versus World focus, but I don't see that. I don't see it, sadly. Yeah, it's a casual game at this point. It is. It's definitely. We don't have any news about new elite specs, but I think it's at this point we can speculate what we want to get or what we do possibly get. And I think we have some really interesting ideas in the chat already. Like, for example, Dervish, Monk, Paragon, all of those can actually be, in my opinion, could happen at this point because they just want to get the nostalgia going. You know, one of the best selling expansions was EOD because it actually brought back really long-term favorites of like not the elite specs that much, but mostly of the content that we got. And that's what was like a big selling point. And I feel like this would be the same with new elite specs that are somewhat like already known from Guild Wars 1. That's my take here. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Guild Wars 2 is like nowadays it's a game for casuals. So you have to design the game around that, and typically going for try-hard balance in competitive mode and that stuff, that's not what casuals people care about. That's the thing here, in my opinion. Yeah, I have seen the Aeon 2 trailer. I have. Season 3 as a whole, every map currency in Season 3 can be used to ascended trinkets and backpacks. Yes, Season 3 is really, really good for ascended trinkets and specifically. It's really, really good. It's very easy, especially if you go, for example, for Winterberry Farm. You get so many trinkets so fast for all your characters. It's really easy. At this point, if you have those, you actually don't need to get a legendary anymore. You can farm them very, very consistently. Quaggan Mesmer, Quaggan Warrior? Interesting. I don't know. That would be, I think, like I said in an earlier thing, adding a new race could bring some new players to the game, but I think that is also quite unlikely in Guild Wars 2. You can see how much difficulty they have putting out new armor like crazy new armor designs and stuff. And I personally think it's not that likely that we get anything like that, but it would also boost the sales of the next expansion. So if we get new race, it will boost it as well. I think if you get a new race on elite spec or something or similar crazy hype, the new expansion will be more sold than Soto and Chanterwells, even though we will probably not get more content with it. It's just about the features. Assassin could be really cool as a thief elite spec, yeah, for sure. Staff Alley rework. Can we expect that? No. Can we hope for it? Yes. I personally think Staff is in a really weird spot and they have to decide if it's a support weapon or some kind of power weapon or whatever, or condi weapon. I feel like right now they say it's a support weapon, but only a few elite specs use it, and that's not good. So I think they should make it clearer that Staff is like a support weapon, whereas Spear is the condi weapon, the power weapon, and then you get some crazy long range condi weapon, maybe something like that could be, or some hybrid scaling as well. But I feel like elementalist weapons are like always a weird thing to balance. That much is for sure, in my opinion, because they always have like some kind of hybrid aspect in there because of all the possible weapon skills that you have. For sure. Yeah, I mean, Queen's Day shouldn't be too hard. Shouldn't be too hard for you though. Get some CC down. I recently started Chanterwald's story and I had that Lady Bear looked like a new class. I love her skill animations. I think they are really good with designing those things, but, and that's the problem, we got this like Kodan tonic, we got like the bird thingy or two bird thingies at this point with the helmets and stuff in the festivals nowadays. So I personally think this is like not completely unlikely to be happening, but that's the problem. They also have to rebalance all the old armors and stuff. That's why it's, in my opinion, not that likely that it will be very consistent that we get a new race. It's more like we get a new combat tonic or something. That would be more likely. Making Kodan a playable race would be such a low effort for them. It's literally just the Norn character model, but with 10 years of steroids using the neck portion. I mean, could be really interesting, but like I said, I personally think a new race is interesting, but I think new elite specs will be the more healthy long-term thing, because that will be played like 2 years after the expansion still, whereas the new race is like only a small boost to the how people engage with this new game expansion rather, I think it's very unlikely that we get a new race only and people will engage with the new race and the new open world zones and all that stuff that come with it for years to come. I think a race is a short-term, really interesting thing for people to get into the game, but as soon as you notice it's like exactly the same thing, no, better GGing here. Yeah, that's my take. Yeah. Do you need to max level Jackal for unlocking Griffin? No, you don't, I think. You know, you don't. Missing my loot for you guys. Raven's Visage and Charles the closest to get to playable Tango. Yeah, like I said, I think this is really interesting that we get that, but I think that's either some kind of practice for them to see if they can make it work, or it's like their only attempt to make this work. They will not go for a really try-hard version. I think that's my potential. I saw Necromale yesterday with a Raven helmet on it. Was startling to say the least. Yeah, I mean, it's really cool what they add there. Sorry, guys. Was too late to noticing. You should not read chat here. It's just too much. I can't focus on everything all at once. I'm sorry. I was almost getting it, almost. Unless the new race gets some crazy busted racial skills, no one will care about them. Exactly, it's just for the looks, and that's not good enough, in my opinion, to actually keep people playing after the first initial playthrough, and that's not good. You know, you want to have people playing and trying out new things, and I think they will never give us crazy new elite skills, racial skills rather, because that's just not. You don't want to have it a place in Guild Wars 2 at least where a specific race is like the only thing that actually is really good. Yeah, so I personally think that's not a good thing. It's like, again, is it again like I'm always the doomed person? It's like last stream I got like 8 bombs in a row. Is it the same again? That I'm like always the doomed person? Do you recommend trading pristine relics for normal relics to rush fractal omni potion? Yes. If you have abundance of those, do that. The omni potion is one of the best things to get in fractals, so I would personally say that's a very worthwhile find. Yeah, or something to go for sure. Oh, I have this weird bug of the lightning still damaging me. Oh, come on. Yeah, I think that's very worthwhile to do for sure. Actually, what I really want them to add is a new core trade line. Yeah, I mentioned that in a recent video of mine. Getting a new core trade line and new core skills would be also very interesting, would be even better for me in the terms of balance and stuff, and then adding a new lead spec. But I think it's more... Holy shit. I just got one-shot by the mechanic. That's actually crazy. I just got one-shot. It was bugged and I got like completely one-shot by the bomb exploding and things. I don't know what happened. I haven't tried it. I actually haven't tried. Would you recommend it? I think personally getting a new... Oh, we need someone to come. So let's go. Let's focus and get this done. Oh my god, we have lost someone. What about new elite spec and new race at the same time? That would be a lot. I don't see the current resources of the game to actually do that. I don't see that happening, to be honest. But I mean, maybe, you know, maybe they surprise us and they give us something like crazy amounts of content like that. That would be amazing. I don't see it though. I don't see it. Core elite specs. I personally think it would be amazing if we get new core trade lines. I think that would be the most easy to balance thing, or somewhat easy to balance thing, without being absolutely like boring. So I personally think that would be amazing, but I feel like it's less a crazy selling point than adding a new elite spec, because I'm not sure if you would make the core trade lines like core game. Could be, you know, that you say this is the core game feature, and then the new expansion doesn't have any incentives to be bought. So maybe it's bound to it, but then it's a weird thing. Then it feels like an elite spec, but is not. So maybe. The build crafting would go ham with that, getting the new core trait line. Then because you had way more build crafting possibilities than with the new elite spec. Is it the only thing that we might get, or that is likely? I doubt it. I mean, a lot of people want to play as a Quaggon. I think that would be a really big selling point if they could do that. But we haven't seen doing them that. It's typically more like something that has very close to the same, let's say, physic, like Noan, humans, and that kind of stuff. So the Coda and the Tengu, all of that, they are really close, whereas Quaggons are completely different. I don't see it happening, to be honest, even though it would be a fan favorite if we get the Quaggon as a playable race. I agree. Wing 9 abandoned LCM game is saved. Yeah, I personally think even if they would do Wing 9 and an LCM and stuff, I think it's just not very likely that we get enough players that are interested in that anymore. It's really not. I don't see it. It would be very interesting if they made this decision, because the player base, I made a video about it very recently rather, and it's not big. It's really small, the raiding community, and that if they would really commit to it and would say that's what we're gonna do, we put out more content for you, I think that would be amazing. But I think that is very delusional if that's really the smartest choice of the how much effort they put into a specific thing, even though it's not like insane how many people are playing it. I think it's actually, they should put more effort in open world maps at this point and make them replayable, like Auric Basing or something like that, and people will enjoy it more. That's my take there. We need bunny girls from Final Fantasy XIV. This is the only thing I'm missing here. It would be interesting. I mean, that would be a big selling point. Yeah, we already have the bikini, so it's just adding bunny girls. That would be probably a big selling point. I agree. But it doesn't have any, like, there is no race in Guild Wars 2 that has that, so maybe they have to invent a new one, I guess. I watch other content creators as well, yeah, sure. See you, Malison. I mean, it's like you play the game for a lot. That's the main issue. You play in the game for a lot, and then you will notice to get better and improve. But of course, yeah, you watch someone that is better at you at a specific thing in the game, and you will just try to improve and just copy it, and that's how you learn. Yeah, sure. That's how it works. Yeah. The next expansion reveal will be in July rather. Sorry. So July. Very likely, in my opinion, to be at the end of July, because that's what ArenaNet does. They say the expansion reveal is in July. That's what they told us. So that will be probably the last possible day that they can reveal it. But that's just my prediction. In the end, it doesn't really matter, because the expansion will come out in, how's it called, in October. So that much we know. That's it. We will see when it comes out, 28th of October probably. I'm more for big building up hype than just going for crazy expansion reveal early. I think building up the hype is more important, that you have crazy features or crazy cool content there. That's way more important. What do you think about merging less popular weapons, some weapons, just having more general information on what is actually going on? I really think that would be amazing. Ooh, that's gonna be close. That we get more information, what their thought process are, what they are actually developing right now, why they are working on that, and why they are thinking this is the most smart way to do it. I think that would be really cool, but I can understand why devs don't do that regularly, because after all, they are devs. They are not someone that want to engage with the audience in that sense. They are working in front of their PC. They want to program. That's what a dev does. They don't really want to have engagement with community. That's a completely different type of job. So I can totally understand why they don't want to do it. But I personally think it's a very healthy way if you have some nice community-driven approach, I think, personally. Yeah. Just change the weekly gold numbers on stuff like Doom CM, and you will at least See more groups farming. Yeah, I totally agree. That's why I made a video about that, just talking about the rewards of raiding, and that would help a lot. And people would, I would say, agree with them to the most part, but still raiding is never going to be like absolutely popular. That's just the sad truth here. But that's okay, you know, it's completely okay. Yeah, raids is not for everyone. That much is for sure. Yeah, that much is completely for sure. And it's also not the easiest game mode to get into. I think getting into raids is okay, whereas getting into fractal CMs is even harder. But I think it's not as easy as getting into open world content. That's just a fact, yeah, for sure. But I mean, I would say if you want to get into raids, just join a raid training Discord and you will actually get into that. What? How did you die? What? That's interesting. Don't rest, guys. Don't rest, please. Don't rest. He will get resurrected when we get to 33%. Most raid groups can't do Doom CM. Yeah, very likely. Yeah. So unless the gold is crazy good, it's just going to be way greater gold per hour for the tryhards. Yeah, sure. That's. But the thing is, I personally think improving gold per hours from raids for most players would be just fine enough, you know, just add some kind of daily reward for normal modes as well. People would farm that way easier and would be more engaged with that than if you would go for, I don't know, only tryhards that get more gold. I'm really thinking like that. But I think they will never touch raids anymore. That might be a hot take, but I feel like they tried with this expansion, with the new Chanter Wilds raids and stuff, but I don't see it happening. I really don't. I feel like this was the last try, and they tried, and it was not succeeding that well. So that's now the final decision. We will not go and do raids anymore. That's my take. Yeah, it's that is good for you, Monk, that you actually got into fractal CMs easier. But I feel like the barrier to entry in fractal CMs is way harder because the training groups, the amount of them, is actually lower than in raids. I don't know why. It just feels like if you're logging on LFG and there are no dedicated Discord servers, as far as I know, so it feels like it's not something that actually a lot of people find access to, even though you only need 4 people to do it. Whereas raiding is like, especially I would say fractal CMs are also more punishing because you have to understand most of the mechanics. Whereas in raids, if you're DPS and just do Veil Guardian, for example, you don't have to understand most of the mechanics. You can get carried through, where in fractal CMs, especially like Silent Surf or Lonely Tower, you can't. So it's, yeah. Do we get a portal? Can someone do it? I guess I mean, I could do it if I'm swapping to Mirage, but I don't know. How is the effort of getting legendary raid armor compared to World vs. World PvP? I mean, it depends. If you like raiding, it's not a lot of effort. But if you want to get into raiding only for the legendary armor, then I would rather go for World vs. World and PvP, because those are more and less easier to get, actually. Especially World vs. World, you don't have to be any good about just playing World vs. World or PvP. You will get it eventually. Yeah. I mean, strikes are really good for gold per hour, and convergences are really good if you want to go for legendary armor in the open world version. So yeah, that's a valid point to do. Yeah, for sure. I think the daily raid would be a super good idea to keep the LFG more active. Exactly. That's what I mentioned in the video as well. I think just adding a daily reward for raid bosses would help a lot to engage with the tryhard community that likes do a static run on Monday. They will actually redo some bosses in the PUC scene and the LFG because there is some nice gold to get. It's really like, this is the thing. Right now, people will stick together even if they are like enjoying raids. Typically only do it once per week. That's it. And that's not a good thing, of course. We want to get multiple runs of people together that are typically not playing together. That's more healthy than if you only have statics running the whole time. That's my take. Yeah, I like convergences as well. I did them a lot to get all the legendary armor for the open world version. Yeah, I did them a lot. Nowadays, not so much anymore, but still, yeah. The worst thing about the raid armor for me was the freaking Chuck X. Yeah, I mean, back then it was like they really wanted you to engage with all the content that they had, and that was a good decision. That's like the decision that you want to have as a game studio, because that is guaranteeing you to actually bring you content in a longevity way. Yeah, only then people engage with it for years to come. If you only make like one content and that's done after like a few weeks of grinding it, then no one will go back to it. But if you do like everything is intertwined, then people will play it, even if it's open world stuff like the Chuck Garant. Yeah. I like it when the encounters actually require most players in the group to understand and do the mechanics, but when a proved NFG, NA LFG doesn't. Yeah, that's like the problem. If you look at Guardian, Gorseville, and that kind of stuff, you need like 2-3 people that actually know what they're doing. All the others are actually getting carried through if they are knowing what they're doing. But in like the newer raid wings, or let's say, for example, Kadim 1, all those raids where you really need a high amount of players, not all of them, but most of them, to know what they are doing, then the clear efficiency or the clear amount of how many people actually cleared consistently goes down crazy. Just because it's like you need to get groups that actually all know what they're doing. And that's just in Guild Wars 2 apparently not that easy for whatever reason, because people are more in the open world and want to get carried rather than carry other people, I guess. That's okay, but that means that you have to design the game differently, I guess. Yeah. Have never tried convergences yet. Is it hard? No. Normal mode convergences are really easy, I would say. Just go in, you will get the clear anyway. You can go for public versions, squad version, doesn't matter. If you go for the challenge mode versions, they are not too hard either. They are, I mean, a little bit harder, but it's also more rewarding. So I would say go into the normal mode and you will have no problems. If you want to get a challenge, then you go for the challenge mode. Yeah. And they are really good for getting essences and stuff like that. And also decent gold per hour, yeah. I wish that with the older content they would remove or recute the arbitrary time gates and make things a bit more farmable without waiting around as much. That would be cool. But like I said, going back to old content is never something that sells that well, because it's already there. People don't want to engage with old content all the time. They want to get something fresh. So if you only rework old content, you will at some point just lose interest of players, because they did it anyway. Even if it's a little bit better, the old content, it's not very likely that they actually care that much. That's the sad part. But yeah, of course, you're right. Yeah, would be cool. I would love that. Also for dungeons, for fractals, all that stuff, just to make the time gates a little bit less, that you can farm them faster. For sure. If you know the regular mode convergence, you will know the mechanics, and then the CM will be much easier. Yeah, always start with the normal mode. I would never go directly and only play the challenge mode. I think that's just not very smart, for sure. Always, in any game mode, I would say go for the easier version first and go for the harder version after that, after you understood how it works. Sure, good tip. Yeah, and you can get crazy good loot as well, yeah, good point. But I mean, that's like infusion drops happen from the open world as well. It's not only in convergences. I mean, if it works, if you can get the CM done first, then it's okay as well. Just saying, for the most amount of players, it's probably better to go for just the safer route and saying, okay, we want to have easy time and then slowly improve the difficulty. I think that's more likely. And especially if you like your whole squad is going CM first, you have to have really good people. But if you have like 49 people that already did the normal mode and know how to do it the CM, and you are the only person that actually didn't do the normal mode before, then you will be fine, most likely. Yeah. I found it quite funny when I saw someone explaining that the reason why some NA groups ask to ping boots is just to see if people can listen to basic instructions. Yeah, I mean, that's very common actually nowadays on the EU as well, that people just want to have someone that actually has either the right gear or just can read what is actually happening. Yeah. Or what you should do. I think that's completely fine. You know, typically when I post an LFG, I'm looking for alacrity heal, and that someone writes high DPS. I mean, that's an instant kick, you know. If I'm looking for a specific role and they are not filling the role, then I mean, what the fuck? They can't read. They can't be that good at the game. That's just might sound toxic, but it's like saying I want to do a raid wing, and then someone joins and wants to do fractals. I mean, of course, I don't want to play with them. But luckily, that doesn't happen that often. That's the good part. Nice. The portal was good. I like the portal. I remember when I started a squad for my first clear of Wing 3 and need leyline gliding in the squad matches, and you still had to kick 2 people on Sarah. Oh no. Yeah, that's always like people join without reading all the message, and I feel like that's like a no-go for me. It's like, it's not, I don't want to be toxic or anything. I'm just saying, if you can't even read the LFG, you know, how can we expect you to actually do all the mechanics correctly? It's just reading is such a basic thing in a video game that if you can't do that, especially if you join a group, you know, where we're looking for people, then it's unlikely that you will actually be a worthwhile asset in our group. Yeah, maybe they are joining and they're hoping that someone else will switch, but that's not a healthy, you know, thing either. I don't like people that are, so to say, leeches in that way and want just to play the most fun role, and someone else has to fill something that is actually not, I don't know, not their favorite part. I think you should join as what you like, but if someone else is filling the role already, then just accept it and go to a different group. That's just how it goes. I mean, that's why I'm in Chrono Alacrity Heal jail. Yeah, I'm always filling this role, I guess. Oh no, we lost someone. How do we lose someone then? It's actually crazy. Crazy. People see minimum requirement, people don't have, people join anyway. Yeah, that's not good. That's not a good thing. I don't like that. You know, I always want to be like a friendly person. Even if I see someone that has a higher or lower KP requirement, if they ask nicely, can I still join? That's okay. But if you join as a DPS when someone is just looking for supports right now, that's not good. That's not healthy. That's just not what we want to have in the game. That's just my take. You know, I'm commanding very frequently in EU on some strike missions and stuff, but I often feel like this is, for me, one of the most frustrating things. If people join, even though I don't really look for them, that's not good. That can't be good in my opinion. How to not sell me on a new specs, elite specs? Really? I mean, that would be interesting. I mean, I think you're probably the minority. I think a lot of people would buy the new expansion if there would be elite specs, even if there's no new content. I really think so. But if like the whole community feels like that, then maybe it's a mistake to add new elite specs. I don't know anything, so don't let me let's say influence you there. But I don't know if we will get it. If we will not, we will see. That's the only thing that we will see in the future. Exactly. New player had a lot of fun on Guild Wars 2, but right now World vs. World roaming is not a forgiving experience and makes me not want to play the game anymore. Should I stick to Zergs? Yeah, I think roaming right now is if you like it, sure, go for it. But I think it's not it was in a better state before, for sure. So if you don't enjoy it right now, stick to Zerging. Zerging is like the same as always. It's always quite similar, but roaming can be frustrating at times. Very much so. Yeah, very much so. Especially because most of the builds that you fight there are quite annoying to fight. That's just the sad truth. Yeah. Can you command me Harvest Tempest Young with 8 CM? I mean, maybe we can do that sometimes on stream, but I feel like we need a lot of players that are actually committed to that. It's not someone I can't just say we get like 8 other people with the 2 of us that actually do it the first time. I think that's not good. We need people that are committed, that want to get it done, and just don't get any random people. And I have a lot of difficulty finding people for raids and stuff. So I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe, but it's hard. How is heal chrono, by the way? Isn't the issue that you can't pre-buff at Mistlock? I mean, heal chrono is insane. Heal chrono is really, really good. It's the best build right now for healers. And yes, you can't pre-buff crazy. I mean, you can pre-buff really well on Mistlock, but you can't pre-buff your quickness and alacrity that well. But I would say it's still a very, very worthwhile thing to play, especially in fractals, but also in raids and stuff. It's really, really good. So don't let you be turned down by not pre-stacking. That's like not completely true because you can easily pre-stack, but even if you don't, it's an insane build. So that's the thing here. I mean, Harvest Temple CM gives you a title. That's the most rewarding thing about it, or the most prestigious thing about it. Doesn't mean it's like insane. It also gives you some gold and stuff, but it's really just for the title that you typically do it. New elite specs won't be baked. I don't think there's design space for them. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right there. I just think this is the biggest selling feature that they could add to the game. I'm just completely honest here. I think if they want to make money, getting new elite specs is the thing that saves the new expansion, because it will guarantee that people buy it even if the content is not there or bad. It's just elite specs will sell the expansion. That's just from a financial standpoint, that's what's happening. Yeah, interesting idea, Wolf. Precasting guide, yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe I have to do that. Very nice, we did it. Good job. Yeah, I'm totally with you, Wolf. I'm totally with you. I'm just saying, from a ArenaNet standpoint, I think it's the most logical way. If they didn't sell Soto and Chantervals to a very high amount, how can we sell the next expansion? Because people will probably get even less interested in that. Yeah, how can we sell it? If we put in a feature that is really crazy in terms of selling, and it will be elite specs, even if it's completely changing the balance in a negative way. Sure. But that's just my prediction. That if they really want to sell it, they will go for it. Especially if they currently have something cooking in the background, like Guild Wars 3, for example, and they don't care about balance in the future anymore. Then that's the way to go, I guess. Even if it's not the most healthy thing, that's the problem. They also have a track record of awesome elite specs behind them. Yeah, hopefully they will. If they will add new elite specs, hopefully they will give us crazy good elite specs as well. I actually expect that, but we don't know. Could also be less resources means worse elite specs. Could be, yeah. Yeah, sure. Then I can totally see that, why you wouldn't buy it then. Oh my god, I'm so slow. I need some swiftness. Yeah, I can totally see that. I can totally see that. And it's completely fair. I'm just saying that might be the thing that we get if we want it or if we don't want it. Lead specs are fun and look really cool, more exciting than a balanced meta. I guess, depending on the game mode. For PvE, I would agree. For competitive modes, I feel like having a good balance is really important as well. If everything is like completely balanced really badly, I think that's not a very healthy thing to have in the game. But, I mean, you never know what ArenaNet thinks about it. They are somewhat crazy when it comes to decision making, I would say. Maybe in a year or two when it's super discontinued. Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe this is like for the 7th expansion, that we get it like with the next expansion will be not the last, and then the 7th expansion will be the last, so we can completely destroy the balance with the last balance, with the 7th expansion. Could be. You're right. Maybe we could just get some core skills or core trait lines, something like that. It could be true. Yeah, good point. We don't know until they give us some announcement to that. I'd buy the new expansion if it came out with 10 provisioner tokens. Good. Are they actually doing Guild Wars 3? We don't know. They currently work on an Unknown's project in the background. And this is like, could be anything. Could be Guild Wars 3, could be anything at this point. What is the most OP build for open world? I have a tier list about that. You can check that out on my YouTube channel. So I have a tier list about the most open world, the best open world builds. There are multiple ones that are very high up there. Just check out the tier list on my YouTube channel. Discount not discontinued. Yeah, maybe. Okay, that's then something different. Yeah, good point. Yeah. New elite specs with new weapons. Oh my god. Adding completely new weapons that we don't even have in the game. I think that's, if it's multiple ones, it's absolutely impossible in my opinion. If it's one, maybe, but I feel like that's also not that good because that means that it's actually not that... You know, they don't have that many skins for it yet, and it's a lot of effort for just a new weapon. I don't see it personally. I don't see it. Could be, but I don't see it. Guild Wars 3 would be a silly mistake. The genre is kinda dead. People don't play new MMOs for long. They only play for the main ones. Yes, I think my opinion is they should go for Guild Wars 3 should not be happening. I personally think Guild Wars 2 should be the game that is an MMO. And when they put out a new announced project, it should be like some kind of online multiplayer game that is not called Guild Wars 3. That's just a new game and is modern and has a different genre behind it. Something that is more single player focused, but you have multiplayer in there. Something like maybe Path of Exile, Warframe style, something like that. And have MMO typical players playing Guild Wars 2. So that Guild Wars 2 and the new game will be updated in tandem and they can start out new. So I think this is the best balance, the best decision they can make. But I personally also think, and that's so to say a little bit sad, I personally also think that ArenaNet is very, very interesting what they make for decisions, because they made this decision in the past already, that they said, no, we have a good game, Guild Wars 1, but we want to get a new game going. Yeah, and they still completely screwed the old game by making a new game out of it. I think they do that. They could do that again. Will they? I don't know. We will see. But they could do that. Sure. I've been playing the Elect Mirage. Yeah, I mean, Elect Mirage will get changed with the next patch, so let's see how this one goes. Three new classes plus playable Tango plus Titan Strike, Champion remake, and that's the new expansion. I mean, maybe you're right there. I mean, I would love it, but I don't see it. I don't see it. I think reworking old content is not selling that well, and they will not do that typically. Maybe we get a new strike mission. That would be interesting from old content. Maybe. Interesting ideas. Interesting, yeah. If they actually release new elite specs, I think they will split it up to 3-3-3 per expansion. Oh, that would be, I think that is a mistake. As soon as they do that, they will have like insane amount of people crying on the forum. Because then there will be people saying, oh my god, I don't have this class, or I don't play this class, and now I have to wait one more year for the next expansion where I get my elite specs. No. I think that's like, people will cry crazy about this. I think they can't do that. Either they do elite specs for all of them, or they don't do them at all. I really think so. It's just, it's too... The player base is too aggressive in playing only one class. It's really like, I don't see that. I get where you're coming from. I just think ArenaNet will completely, that will be their own downfall if they do that. Yeah, they could bring Ritualist back, Dervish, Monk, Paragon, all of those can come back. Yeah, if they would do that. In my opinion, it's possible. It's possible. I mean, surely 500, maybe. I still don't know what it actually will look like. You know, why would you craft your own ascended jewels if you like can get them for farming a little bit of winter berries and stuff? Why would you do that? I really don't know. I really, why? I think there had to be some crazy feature there. Maybe they combine it with the legendary Aqua Breeder, maybe. But I still don't get it, to be honest. I feel like 500 cooking was okay. But going for 500 of jewelry, I really don't see why this is like needed in the game. I really don't. Maybe they have some crazy idea there, but I don't see it. Yes, I did the quest for condensing the portal scrolls. I did. I still have them in my thing. Yeah, maybe Legendary Infusion. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, 42k on quick DPS Catalyst. Yeah. I see you, Cheeky Monk. I see you. Yeah, I mean, those shovels, don't get me wrong, those are termite shovels. So that means that you can double tap them and you can use them in as a CC tool. This is not the shovels from Silver Vase. Please don't think that, yeah. those are for dungeons and fractals to CC bosses if you're solo and stuff. It's very old school stuff. It's all for dungeons consumables that you would use, for example, harpy feathers to stealth your character, even if you're playing a necromancer or something like that. This is like really old school stuff. Yeah. Honestly, what they should do is the Final Fantasy XIV route, dump the story in the first patch, then sprinkle in side stories for the later patches to flesh out the narrative, which also includes fractals and strikes. They should do that, I guess, yeah, good point. But I'm not sure if ArenaNet really wants that, because I really feel like if they would do the story in one patch in the beginning, you would even more see how short the story actually is. It's like 2 hours of gameplay, the whole, or maybe like 3. I really think that would be, in my opinion, very easily visible then. Yeah, open inventory gaming, exactly. That's what we did back then, yeah. A new icon, yeah, that's what we need, yeah. Do you use the clean refreshing drink, a buff that stacks with food and utility? I'm not sure what you're referring to actually, so I guess I don't. Yeah. The Ellie main that complains because they only want staff DPS to be good, or for Power Weaver to be the highest benchmark, an important smokescreen to top quickness catalyst and Condi Weaver from getting nerfed. Yeah, it's actually it's true. I think elementalists in general, they are quite, together with warriors, I think those two are probably the most crying player base out there. Yeah, that's just how it is, I guess. Doesn't mean that you are one of them. I'm just saying, and if you're looking at Reddit, the forums and stuff, it's actually it feels like it, at least, yeah. Elementalist just lacks CC, at least on Condi. I mean, I think that's completely fair. I think personally balancing around, having high DPS, having no CC is okay if you have builds that have high CC with less DPS. I think that would be really nice balancing, but that's not ArenaNet. ArenaNet typically goes for either full, like the benchmark is the only thing that matters, and that's not good. You know, you should make a distinction between range DPS and melee DPS, and Condi and power, and just in general how forgiving the rotation is. All of that stuff should be considered in how to balance it, but they never do. That's the problem. Yeah. No, not flaming. I'm just saying that a lot of people, especially elementalist and warrior mains, are like really, really enthusiastic about their specific class and might be really sad when there are changes or nerfs or buffs that are not approved by them. So that's just the effect, I would say. The 5 Condi Weavers on an AR thing? Yes. Honestly, they should just release the elementalist mains and give them 55k staff for a month and then nerf it to 20. I mean, the interesting part is people will still complain about something. Oh my god, they now have the staff as a DPS weapon. I want to play as a support. It's like, you can't make it right. It's really like, you can't make it right. It doesn't matter which class you're actually referring to, you know? If they would buff, for example, heal Renegade, and this will destroy Condition Renegade or make it not as played as before, people will still be sad about it. That's just how it works, how they do it. Yeah, that's just how they do it. The sad part. Thanks for all the follows, really appreciate it. Staff Ellie used to be such fun build to play. Yeah, I mean, it's a long time ago, but it was really fun, I agree. It was very fun to play. Yeah, I mean, I think personally making Weaver staff would be really interesting as a weapon, especially Condi Weaver staff. That sounds like an insane build. Yeah. 2012 lava font spam. Yes, that's what they want back, the fire wizards. Yes, sure. And that's I personally think that's okay, you know, having a build like that. It's just like unlikely that it will be staff, to be honest. I think staff is not in a design space right now where you actually have that. That was peak Guild Wars 2. Yeah, I mean, it was with the and then after that we got Frostbow and fire greatsword, fiery greatsword to be used in the corner and something. Yeah. Peak gameplay in dungeons. Yes. Yeah, it would be very fun. I would like it. I would like that. But I feel like it's not very likely all the time because they really want to make stuff a little bit more fresh. Oh, almost got him. Buff thief? Yeah. I mean, PvE thieves, maybe it needs some buffs. Yeah, maybe you're right there. Nice, we got him. Another one. All the conjured weapon, lightning hammer. Yeah, it was really fun back then. It was like insane. Nowadays, it's not like you don't use them anymore at all. We got another one. Yeah, nowadays you don't really use them at all. Maybe in some builds, but not most of the time. Back then it was like insane. You used all 3 of them, all 4 of them actually. It was really, really fun. Yeah. Reminds me of a meme suggestion from back in the day for fixed groups. Whenever you look for DPS in the LFG, the game would randomly pull one ally from Alliance Arch. Such big content, yeah. Yeah, maybe that's not the smartest way to do it, because I feel like a lot of DPS elementalists in the open world are like completely not that good. There's this player, the Necro. Just waiting. Yeah, it's a Power Reaper. It's a nice matchup for me. You see, nice matchup, I told you. Elementalist is too squishy. I put on my Signet of Earth, written in stone, and my Trailblazer gear. Very squishy then. Yeah, sure. Oh, they're coming. At least some of them. Streamer, yeah. I'm not toxic. Why would I be toxic? Just killed a player in World vs. World. I didn't even put any siege on them. Why am I toxic? I think I can engage on them. Almost got the kill. And now they are sieging me. Are you ready for it? Okay, no sieging. Very good. There are positive people here. Couple of days ago, I thought I'm ready to open my first Ascended Gear, but I'm indecisive again. I mean, I personally think going for one of them is you should at some point start playing, you know, and do it. Just do it at some point. Because if you wait all the time forever, it is not a healthy thing to do, in my opinion. It will speed up how fast you will acquire Ascended Gear. So if you open it the first time and you are indecisive about it, you will get it faster the next time. But I would also say it's not as punishing, especially if it's the armor. You can transfer it between 3 armor classes, or 3 classes of the same armor. So that's okay as well. There's a player. So I personally think this is like, don't worry too much. You will get it. Yeah. And that cheeky tells that sad stuff about Alice. I'm crying. Yeah, I guess. I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, back then lava font was like, that was the biggest thing. What did I get here actually? Oh, okay. Over 40k DPS while taking 50% less strike damage. That sounds about right, yeah? Sounds about like a balanced build. Yeah. Yeah, 42k with quick DPS catalyst or the Bloodstone. I actually highly expect it to be nerfed with the upcoming patch on Tuesday. I think there will be some hot fixes there in there, and there will also be some nerfs to Bloodstone Relic. I think this is like, this is not what they wanted it. Yeah. Yeah, Heal Tempest will be really cool after the next patch. Also, I think like Heal Tempest, Heal Scourge, Heal Vindicator are really fun. I personally am hoping for Heal Mirage. Maybe it will not be broken, but it will be really interesting at least to be play something like that. And I'm also hoping for really cool builds that are just popping off, like Solo Tempest or something like that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the patch. Yeah, for sure. Also for PvP, I think there will be some nice, interesting builds coming up again. So we will see, we will see. Hammer Cutter will be really fun as well. That's true. Hammer Cutter will be really fun. There are a lot of cool changes coming with the patch. I think the patch is one of the best balanced patches they did like in a year or something. I'm pretty happy with it. There are some whiffs, but not that many. I think they could have done more about Weaver and, for example, Warrior or Thief. Those three, I think I'm not the biggest fan of how they changed stuff, but I think Spectre got away really happy, at least if the numbers are good enough. So overall, I think this is like, yeah. Virtuoso is fixed. I mean, what do you mean? It's like, it's still very good. It will not change that much. I mean, if you do like Strike Mission Aoki, you will get some less ascended stuff as well. And if you go for World vs. World in PvP, you can also get them. You don't have to do Fractus or Raids. Yeah. Yeah, it's not fixed. It's not fixed then, yeah. Yeah, Condi Weaver is like, people overestimate how difficult it is, yeah, for sure. And Pistol is like, it's not, you don't have to play Pistol. Pistol is like, you don't have to play it because it's not like insane amount of more damage than Scepter. I think Scepter is easier to play and in real fights typically even more DPS than in not real, like on the benchmark and stuff. Is it a Condi Soulbeast again? Yeah, looks like one. No, it's a Power Soulbeast, so is it? No, it's Condi. I hate Condi Soulbeasts so much. It's like, it's so broken, this build. I have to concentrate here. I'm not even sure if I can win this, to be honest. I hate Condi Soulbeasts. It's insane. Is Revenant still in a weird spot? I would say so, yeah. In PvE at least, it's like in a weird spot. It's really good in Fractals with Renegade. And in raids and strike missions, it's like Vindicator for power damage and Renegade for Condi damage. But after the patch, it will be a really good pick for healing as well with Vindicator. Vindicator gets really good healing builds now after the patch with the Alacrity buff to it, so I think it will be a really good build after that. I wouldn't go Warhorn on Elementalist in general. Warhorn is like a support weapon, it's not a offensive weapon. I would not go Warhorn. Yeah, that's my tip there. But if you like it, sure, go for it. It's just not my recommendation. Yeah, I like, that's why I'm playing Willbender, you know. I want to teleport across like insane amount of area just because I want to get there fast, you know. Why would I play a slow class in World vs. World? It's like, what? Why? You know? But I think it's quite balanced now. If I fight against a good player, I think I might lose the 1-on-1, even if it's like not the best build either. It's like Vindicator is a challenging matchup, and Condi Soul Beast is a challenging matchup. There are a lot of very challenging matchups nowadays. It's not like it's broken. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could also template switch. Yeah, good point. Could go for something different, yeah. I already have light legendary armor. Do you think I should craft medium or heavy next? I mean, depends what classes you play, but I personally think, in general, going for all three of them is really helpful, because at some point you will get there anyway. You want to have that. If you play with both of them the same amount, then I would probably go for heavy. I personally think Guardian and Ref have so many different builds that are very worthwhile using. I personally think those two are really, really worthwhile having legendary on. For medium, I would say it's more like a lot of Berserker is there. That's why I would say typically it's not like you have to go for this on medium, personally. I think it's only Druid and maybe Heal Scrapper that are like insane in terms of different builds. But yeah, that's just my take. Yeah, don't use macros or anything like that. That's not allowed. That's not allowed. Guild Wars 2 specifically forbids this. Yeah. Thanks, Malison. See you. See you. Have a nice day. Have a nice weekend. I think maybe you're right. Maybe you don't need to do the dodge jumping manually like this one. But I think this is one of the only things. You know, they actually banned people for using some kind of macros that they did not ban before. Now they banned people for it. I would not use any kinds of helpers in the game. That is like pressing one key and doing multiple things. Don't do that. It's really not good. You know, they even banned people for using some kind of multi-clicker and stuff like that. Don't do that. It's really like, they changed this drastically because for example, they changed the candy corn gobbler. Now you can say what you want, how much you want. This is like, before that, it was like you had to click it all the time, then you could use some auto clicker, but now they said no, specifically don't do that. So yeah, be careful what you use. Are you doing a lot of build guides for the casual? Have you thought about going in depth more, at least on certain builds, like showing a golem kill with a good DPS number and explaining in detail how to play the rotation, like on Cultivator, so you get DPS by being fast and only a few single orders. On Scrapper, you have to queue every single non-instant cast and respect auto attack chains. So when I do on my build guides, I do a rotation, yeah, and typically I do the rotation and slow-mo it and explain every single skill I do after one another. And when I'm done with the loop, I'm, so to say, going to some real gameplay thing. What would you change to make it more in-depth? What would be the thing that you would say is like, what would you explain here that is more, that helps you to get even better at it, right? You know, showing a perfect rotation, that's what I did, for example, for the Longbow Dragon Hunter, explaining every single button that you press one after the other. What would you do more than that? That's interesting. If you have any comments, I'm just asking. It's a genuine question. Yeah, exactly. One input, one action. That's the thing. That's the rule. As soon as this is violated, they can and will probably ban you for it if they detect it. So be really careful with this. Welcome, Oma. Welcome, welcome. Glad you enjoy my content. I mean, it's, if you still haven't decided on your main, the thing that I can give you is like, go for the one that you actually enjoy the look the most. And if you don't have any preferences right now, I would heavily recommend you either Guardian for the heavy armor classes, or probably probably Mesmer for the light armor classes. Those two are really, really good. Mesmer and Guardian are really flexible and will probably not get nerfed anytime soon. So they are really, really good if you can't decide. Those two are really, really good. Need to search for the Condi ally on your channel without pistol. Coming after the patch. Don't have it right now. Don't have it. What if I can't decide between Guardian and Mesmer? That's a tough choice. Then I would say roll the dice. roll the dice and go for the one that you get then, and you will just, you know, after, let's say, playing a little bit of one class, getting to level 80, getting full ascended gear, you can easily switch to another one as well. It's not punishing at all. Okay, we have a matchup. Is this a Condi hub? I think it's a Celestial. Oh my god, 2 people. I'm not sure if I can win this, to be honest. That's annoying. 2 Condi people. Yeah, that's not winnable. That's the sad part. I hate that. That's just roaming in a nutshell, you know, just getting... What is this? It's a Nuris Willbender and a Celestial Harp. Oh my god. World versus world in a nutshell. I don't know what, like an imaginary scenario, Spear 5 can interrupt all other skills, calling that out, that beginners often cancel other skills of that. I mean, I try to do that, to be honest. I try to do that, you know. If I don't know how many of my build guides you watch, but in my, I have a specific section about the skills, where I talk about all the skills and give you some tips when to use it. And then I talk about the rotation. So if you watch the whole video, you actually should get this. You know, of course, if you have a specific comment, let me know. And then I can actually improve on that in the future in new build guides. But it's really hard for me to know what actually you mean by this, because it's like, for me, it's way harder to understand what is like the difference between a really try-hard build guide and someone for casual people, because I try to make it so that everyone can understand my build guides. Even the try-hard people will get better by watching my build guide. So I'm not completely sure what you actually want there. I'm really happy if you give me any feedback that helps me improve my guides, but it's really hard. Yeah. I watched a few of your recent build guides and tried to write about it in Discord. Perfect. You know, I'm always happy about improving stuff. Just let me know what specifically. You know, just telling me making more try-hard guides is a good thing, but I don't know exactly what you mean by that. So if you have any specific comments about that, let me know. And I'm always happy to improve on that in the future. And I have like a lot of build guides planned after the balance patch, so this will be a good time to actually improve on that. Sure. Good thing for sure. Yeah. Cat? Yes, the cat. Yeah, this matchup was not that fun. I don't like fighting Condi Harp or Celestial Harp. It's unwinnable for us. The thing you said about Warhorn, I have Orion's Voice. Yeah, I mean, of course, if you have a legendary, sure, go for it. But then I would go not for DPS Tempest. I would go for, after the patch, it will be really good. Alacrity Tempest. Alacrity Heal Tempest, something like that is really, really good. I mean, if you play against a good Celestial Harp, Willbender will never kill you. Celestial Harp will always destroy a Willbender. Always. Like, always. There is nothing that will... I will show you actually why this is the case. There is one trait in particular that completely destroys Willbenders. I would go... Yeah, I mean, for... I will go there and I will show you. I mean, Scepter Warhorn or Dagger Warhorn as a healer. That's what I would go. That's how I would go Intense. Yeah. If you really don't know why your DPS isn't as high as it should be or what's wrong with your rotation, the Wingman rotation benchmark website is really good for you. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So this is a Celestial Harbinger build, and you use, for example, Death Magic. You have a lot of tankiness with the toughness you get from the Carapace stacks and this trait. Celestial Willbender has a Celestial Harbinger with Fury. This trait procs very consistently. You apply very consistent weakness to the Willbender, which doesn't have crazy amounts of Condi Cleanse. And the weakness, like say, decreases damage output by like insane amounts. It's insane. And also decreases endurance regeneration. This is the trait that single-handedly lets you win against the Willbender. Yeah, so if you play it correctly, or if you just spam your attacks and hit them, You don't even have to play it like insane well. It's just pressing the buttons and you will apply weakness and they will not do any damage anymore. It's like insane. Yeah, maybe you play it on a Condi build, but I would not play it on a power build because that's what people wanted to have. Power Warhorn, that's not it. That's not there. That's not a build I would recommend. Power Warhorn is completely gone. It's not. You play dagger offhand in a power weapon. Yeah, and of course, I mean, it's always improving on your rotation. It's always a slow step process. It's like really you have to play a little bit slower and patient and you will get there. Just have to improve and train on it. Yeah, glad that you like my videos. I'm always happy. Thanks for joining the stream. I really enjoy the healer POV videos released so far. Could you consider doing healer boon DPS POV for entry or mid-tier content like Bone Skinner, Harvest Temple, or some normal mod fractal? Yeah, sure. I mean, I will try to do that for all types of content and not only healer, but also others. Yeah, so DPS and quick DPS and that kind of stuff, so that you actually get a different perspective on the meta all the time. Yeah, I will do that in the future. It's on my radar. Don't worry. Will come out. I'm also unsure what could be a Condi offhand for Elementalist if not Warhorn. Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, Condi offhand is like really weird. It's you don't really have that. Maybe I don't know. Focus is not that good. Dagger offhand is not that crazy. Maybe Dagger, but it's more power based. It's not really there. Yeah. Yeah, skips exactly for fractals and that kind of stuff. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. The second time I played Celestial Harbinger in World vs. World in AFK DH that used a macro killed me. That's not good. I mean, that's not fair then. Don't take that as a real 101. Don't worry. Yeah, and that's, I think, also to the end of today's stream. I'm sorry, guys. That's a little bit shorter one. But yeah, that's the stream. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a blast. It was fun. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice weekend. Be sure to check out my YouTube channel. I have some crazy content coming up. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching. See you around.